I gave my daughter a villa. Not an apartment. Not a cute starter home in the city. Villa. With arched doorways. Big windows that let in all the light. A garden that smelled like lavender and fresh beginnings. I know it sounds crazy. But when you're a single mom, who's watched her daughter grow up with secondhand shoes and library dreams, and then one day she falls in love. Really falls in love. You want to give her the whole world. So I gave her the closest thing I could afford. That villa. It was everything. Serene. Filled with air and light and silence. The kind of silence that feels earned. We walked through it the day after her wedding. The house was still echoing. Not a single piece of furniture yet. Just us. She turned to me and said, "Mom, are you serious? This is ours." She said, "No, baby. This is yours." She cried. I cried too, but I tried to act cool. Didn't want to ruin the moment with too much momness. I handed her the keys. She looked down at them like they were sacred. "You don't owe me anything," I told her. "No rent. No expectations. Just live your life. Be happy. That's all I want." She nodded, and for a moment, I saw it. The girl I raised. The woman she was becoming. The home she was about to build. It was perfect. It really, really was. And for exactly 14 days, I believed I had made the right decision. Until the texts got slower. The FaceTime calls got shorter. And one day I asked if I could come over for lunch. She hesitated. Just for a beat. But I felt it. That beat told me everything. Push gently. "You okay?" She replied. "Yeah. It's just... things are a little busy here." Busy? They'd only been married for 2 weeks. What could possibly be that busy? I didn't push harder. But I started to pay attention. And the next time I called, I heard something strange. Voice. A man's voice. Not her husband's. Then another. Woman. Older. Pussy. Talking about moving that lamp, and where the charger went. I didn't say anything. Not then. But something deep in my stomach twisted. And that night I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and whispered to myself, "Please don't let it be what I think it is. 'Cause if I was right, then my gift, my once-in-a-lifetime, from the heart you deserve the world gift, had just become a battleground." 3 days after that strange video call, I decided to go to Lily's house. Without warning. I know. It might seem like I was being a nosy mom. But a mother's intuition is never wrong. The villa looked different that day. No more peace. No birdsong from the backyard. Instead, TV noise from the living room. Loud laughter. The clanging of pots and pans in the kitchen. I hadn't even rung the bell when the door swung open. A woman around my age, wearing an apron, her curly hair pinned up, looked me up and down like I was a late pizza delivery. "And you are?" she asked. I froze for a second. Then smiled. "I'm Lily's mother." She didn't invite me in. Just stepped aside, uninterested. "Oh, Lily's mom. Come in." I stepped into the house. My daughter's house. Every step felt like walking into a storm of unspoken rage. On the wall were Lily's wedding photos, now crowded out by pictures of another family. A large portrait, clearly of her husband's family, was hanging right in the middle of the living room, blocking sunlight from the big window. The cozy reading couch Lily used to love was gone. In its place, an old gray leather sofa, and a recliner that looked like it had become the mother-in-law's throne. Before I could say anything, a man's voice shouted, "Mom, where's my coffee?" I turned around. It wasn't my son-in-law. It was a younger man, messy hair, hoodie, barefoot, gaming on his phone. "That's Tom," the woman said. "My younger son. Just staying here for a bit while moving." Then another man came out of the kitchen. Older, gray hair, wearing a tank top. Who's here?" he asked, holding a cup of coffee. "Oh, Lily's mom." "Oh, come on in. We're all family here." He laughed loudly. "Family?" Right then, I wanted to scream in his face. "You're not family. You're guests. And no one invited you." But I swallowed my anger. Because I still hadn't seen Lily. Finally Lily came out. She was in her pajamas. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair hastily tied. And her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Mom!" Her voice was as faint as wind through a cracked door. Hugged her. I could feel her heart racing beneath her chest. We sat on the back porch, the only place left with a sliver of peace. How long has it been? Yes. Lily looked at her hands. First it was just his parents, and then a cousin who lost his job. He frowned. And your husband, he said. Their family. We can't kick them out. I was speechless. Then she whispered, voice trembling like dry leaves. I don't have a place in my own home anymore, Mom. I held Lily's hand tight. A quiet fury spread through me. They weren't just taking up space. They were taking her. Her freedom, her joy, her strength. Well, I wasn't going to let this continue. I didn't give her that house, so she could disappear in her own life. I kissed Lily's forehead and stood up. Don't worry, I said, eyes fixed on the front yard, where the father-in-law's SUV was parked. Tomorrow I'm coming back. And next time I won't come alone. I'm bringing the truth. And when truth knocks on your door, nobody gets to sit comfortably anymore. The next morning, I showed up at the villa. Not with flowers. Not with food. With paperwork. Deed. Receipts. Every signature that ever tied that house to me. Because let's be clear, I didn't give my daughter that villa as a loan. I gave it as love. But love doesn't mean handing your child over to chaos. I walked in through the front gate. The cousin was on the porch, playing guitar badly. He didn't even say hi. Just looked up, gave me a lazy nod, and went back to strumming some off-key heartbreak song like he was the main character in a music video. Inside I found Lily in the kitchen, still in her robe, making toast like she was trying to keep herself from unraveling. She smiled when she saw me. But it was the kind of smile you wear when you're drowning and you don't want anyone to notice the water rising. Hey, Mom. I kissed her cheek. Is your husband home? No work. And the rest of the household? He shrugged. Still sleeping. Or gaming. Or somewhere. I pulled out the folder. Set it on the table between us like a silent bomb. What's this? The history of this house, I said. From the moment I bought it. Every paper. Every dollar. Every intention. Her face changed. Mom, I told you. I didn't want. I know, baby. You didn't ask for anything. But you deserve peace. And this. I gestured around us. This is not peace. Before she could respond, the front door creaked open. The mother-in-law, perfectly timed. She strutted in like she'd built the place brick by brick. Oh, you're back again. I didn't smile. I didn't offer pleasantries. Stood. I'd like to speak with you. Alone. She raised an eyebrow. Lily froze. Her eyes darted between us like a child caught between two thunderstorms. But the woman nodded slowly. Sure. We stepped outside. The sun was warm. But the air between us, cold as marble. I'll be brief, I said. I gave this house to my daughter as a gift. Foundation. Fresh start. Not a boarding house. He smirked. Well, we're just here until things settle. You know how families are. This isn't your family's house. She stiffened. I opened the folder and let her see the deed. My name's still on it. Legally, this is still mine. I left it to Lily because I trust her. But I don't trust what's happening under this roof. Her eyes narrowed. Lips pressed together like she was chewing on words she couldn't spit out. I'm giving you 1 week, I said. 1 week to make arrangements. After that, if you and your entourage haven't relocated, pause, looked her dead in the eye, I will reclaim the property. And I won't be gentle about it. She laughed. A dry, brittle sound. You wouldn't kick out your own son-in-law's parents. Watch me. I turned and walked back inside. My hands were shaking, but my spine, solid. Lily was still at the table. She looked up at me, confused. What just happened? I took her hands in mine. You're not alone. Her eyes welled up. And for the first time in weeks, she exhaled. Real deep breath. Like maybe, just maybe, she could believe again in safety, in space, in being seen. But the war wasn't over. This was just the first shot. And I knew. They weren't going to leave quietly. The silence that followed our conversation. It didn't last long. 2 days later, the passive-aggressive war began. Started small, like a match struck in the dark. The cousin started blasting music at 7 a.m. right outside Lily's bedroom. The mother-in-law, She suddenly had a problem with everything. The way Lily folded laundry. The cheap groceries she bought. Even the way she greeted them in the morning. "You don't say good morning properly anymore," she muttered once. Loud enough for Lily to hear. Quiet enough to claim it wasn't meant for her. Lily called me that night. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "They're turning the house against me, Mom." I could hear her pacing. Could hear the creak of the floorboards as she tried not to cry too loudly. "Yesterday they moved my books. Said the shelf looked better empty. Today they replaced the curtains." "My curtains." Clenched the phone. "They're pushing you out," I said. She hesitated. And then, in the smallest voice, "I think they want me to leave. Leave my own house." The next day I showed up again. Unannounced. Unapologetic. This time the father-in-law opened the door. His smile was tight. "Practice." He gestured to the kitchen. "They're all in there. Big family lunch." I walked in. And the smell hit me first. Fried garlic. Fish sauce. Vinegar. The kitchen was full. Mother-in-law. Cousin. Little brother. Father. And Lily's husband. Everyone but Lily. I glanced around. "Where's my daughter?" he asked. His mom smiled. "Oh, she said she wasn't feeling well. She's resting. Poor thing, she's been so emotional lately." The cousin chuckled. "Must be hormonal." Everyone laughed. I didn't. I walked down the hall. Straight to Lily's room. The door was half closed. Pushed it gently. She was sitting on the bed. Lights off. Curtains drawn. Her laptop sat closed beside her like it had given up. She looked up. Her eyes were red. "They made me feel crazy, Mom. Like I was being dramatic. Overreacting." She stood up. "And the worst part. He let them." Her voice cracked. "Jake just keeps saying, they're family. Let's not make this a big deal." "But it is a big deal. This is supposed to be our home. Our marriage." She broke. Collapsed into my arms. I held her like I used to when she scraped her knees in 3rd grade. Like the world could still be fixed with a hug and some Neosporin. But she wasn't 8 anymore. And this pain wasn't a scratch. That night, I went home and wrote a letter. Not an email. Not a text. Letter. I told him everything I saw. Everything I knew. I wrote about the furniture being replaced. The noise. The manipulation. The way they were squeezing Lily out of her own skin. And then I ended with one line. "If you love her, you'll protect her. If you don't, I will." He didn't reply. Not that night. Not the next day. But on the 3rd morning, Lily called. And her voice. It was different. Stronger. "I need you to come over," she said. I did something. When I got there, she was standing on the front lawn. Arms crossed. Behind her. The cousins, the parents, the noise. All of it. Pecking. I pulled up to the house. And the moment I stepped out of the car, I knew something had shifted. The air was electric. Like the moment before a storm breaks open. Lily stood on the front lawn. Barefoot in the grass. Arms crossed. Behind her. Boxes. Luggage. Pillows. Stacks of Tupperware. And faces. The cousin. The brother. The mother-in-law. All avoiding eye contact. All packing. I walked toward her slow. She turned to me. There was something in her face. A steadiness I hadn't seen in weeks. "I told them," she said. Voice calm. Even. And blinked. "Told them what?" Her eyes didn't waver. "That they need to leave. All of them. Today." I stared at her, stunned. "You did that by yourself?" She nodded. "Jake got home last night. I waited until everyone was asleep. Then I told him I couldn't breathe anymore. That I was done disappearing in my own home." Her lip quivered just a little. But her hands were steady. "I told him that if he couldn't set boundaries with his family, then I would. And I did." She looked toward the porch. "They didn't take it well. His mom said I was ungrateful. Called me a bad wife. Said family sticks together, no matter what." Her jaw clenched. But I reminded her. This isn't a commune. This isn't a group project. This is my marriage. My home. And they were never invited to live here. I walked up and hugged her. "You were brave." She nodded, resting her head on my shoulder for a second, then pulled back like she remembered something. "Oh, Mom. The best part." She reached into her hoodie pocket, pulled out a small envelope. Inside, was the deed. By me. And now. Also signed by Jake. He said he gets it now, she said softly. That he let things go too far. And that he wants this house to be mine. Fully. Exhaled. A breath I'd been holding for months. Not because of a house. But because of her. Because my daughter had found her voice again. The rest of that afternoon felt like something holy. Quiet cleansing. Doors opened. Rooms aired out. Voices lowered. One by one. The house emptied. Suitcases into trunks. Tense goodbyes. Some silent. Some forced. The mother-in-law didn't speak to Lily. Didn't even look at her. She walked past me like I was invisible. But I didn't care. Because when the last car pulled away, and that front door closed, Lily turned to me. And smiled. A real smile. A light through the clouds kind of smile. She said, "It's quiet, Mom. For the first time in forever. It's quiet. But here's the thing about silence. Sometimes it's just a pause before the next tremor." And the marriage still had fault lines. Still had questions. Because setting boundaries doesn't always mean the other person knows how to honor them. Love can't survive long in a house where one person still leaves the door open for chaos. That truth. It came crashing in. 1 week later. That's when everything Lily thought she saved began to crack. The house was quiet. Too quiet. For 3 days. Lily moved through it like someone waking up from a long, strange dream. She opened all the windows. Let the air flow through. Burned candles. Scrubbed the kitchen tile down on her knees. She played music again. Warm. Music that felt like her. And for a moment, just a moment, felt like a home again. But Jake was different. He didn't yell. Didn't argue. Didn't even bring up his family. But the silence he brought into the room was heavier than any fight they'd ever had. He'd come home from work, drop his keys on the counter, nod at her, and disappear into the bedroom. No kiss, no question, no warmth, just presence, without partnership. Lily told me about it one night over the phone. "He's here, Mom. But it's like he isn't." He paused. "I thought things would feel better after they left. But now it's just and it feels worse." I didn't say anything. 'Cause what could I say? Sometimes when the chaos clears, you're left staring at what was broken before the noise. Day 5. She tried to talk to him. She sat beside him on the couch, her hand gently resting on his. "Jake," she said, "can we talk?" He didn't look away from the TV. She waited, and then he sighed. The kind of sigh that's not tired, but annoyed. "You made your choice," he said. "Don't act like you didn't know what that meant." Her hand dropped away. "What does that mean?" she asked quietly. "It means you chose to kick my family out. You sided with your mom. Now you want everything to be back to normal." She blinked. "Jake chose us, chose our space, our boundaries." He turned to her then, face hard. "No, you chose to control everything, just like she does." That night, Lily cried on the bathroom floor. Not because of the words, but because of what wasn't said. The absence of love. The absence of fight. The next morning, she didn't make him breakfast. Didn't ask how he slept. Didn't reach for his hand. She just watched him walk out the door. And whispered to herself, "You're not here. You've been gone a long time. I was just too busy fighting your family to notice." That weekend, he didn't come home. No call. No text. Lily waited. Until midnight. Then 2 a.m. Then 5. He came back at 7 in the morning. Eyes bloodshot. Shirt inside out. Lily was waiting at the table. He paused when he saw her. "Where were you?" she asked. He blinked. Paused too long. Then shrugged. "Out. I needed space." And just like that, she knew. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just knew. That was the moment the love died. Not because he cheated. Not even because he lied. But because the person she needed beside her, during the hardest part of her life, chose distance, over dignity, silence, over support, ego, over empathy. That evening she called me. Her voice was low, not broken, but resolved. "Mom, how do you know when it's time to leave someone you thought you'd spend forever with?" I didn't answer right away, because I knew that question meant the decision was already made. The morning after she asked me that question, Lily didn't cry. She made coffee, fed the cat, took a long shower. Then, she did something she hadn't done in weeks. She looked at herself in the mirror. Really looked. The woman staring back. She wasn't the same girl who signed the deed in excitement, who thought love could smooth over red flags, who bent herself backwards, just to be liked by people, who never wanted her to stand tall. Well, this woman. She had survived manipulation, loneliness, betrayal wrapped in a familiar face. And now, she was done surviving. She was ready to live. That afternoon Lily went downtown. She walked into a law office, sat across from a woman in a gray blazer, who didn't smile much, but didn't look away either. "I want to know my rights," Lily said. "About the house, the marriage, everything." The woman nodded, took notes. "You have full ownership of the home," she confirmed. "His name was never added to the deed. Legally it's yours." Lily exhaled, but didn't relax. "What about divorce?" she asked quietly. That word, divorce, it felt foreign in her mouth, like something borrowed from someone else's story. But as soon as she said it, something inside her clicked, like a locked door she hadn't dared open before, finally giving way. That night, Jake came home late again. Lily was waiting, not with a lecture, not with tears, but with a folder. Inside, the lawyer's card, financial printout, note, her handwriting steady. "I loved you more than you deserved. But I won't shrink for someone who refuses to grow. I want a divorce." He didn't speak at first, just stared at the folder, then at her. "You're serious," he said. She nodded once. His face shifted, from shock, to disbelief, to anger. "You're giving up on us that easily," he snapped. She didn't flinch. "No," she said. "I gave everything. You're the one who walked away every day. I just finally stopped waiting for you to come back." He stormed out that night. Didn't take anything with him. Not his toothbrush. Not even his charger. And Lily. She didn't chase him. Not this time. The next morning the sun came in brighter. The silence in the house. Peaceful, not heavy. She opened the windows. Lit a candle. Then she walked into the bedroom. And for the first time in a long time, she made the bed for one. She called me later that afternoon. Her voice wasn't loud, wasn't shaky. It was clear. "I'm not broken, Mom," she said. "And I don't regret loving him. But I'm done letting love be an excuse to stay somewhere I'm not respected." I smiled into the phone. "You've always been strong," I said. "You just forgot." And Lily. She remembered. She started sleeping better, eating better, working harder. She reconnected with old friends. Started journaling again. Went on walks without needing a destination. She even found herself laughing. That deep belly laugh that had gone missing for months. But the story isn't over yet. Because healing isn't linear. And even when you leave the storm, the rain still finds ways to follow you. It happened on a Wednesday, late afternoon. Golden hour light spilling across the kitchen counter. The smell of warm soup on the stove. Lily had just come back from the farmer's market. Flowers in one hand, phone in the other. Laughing. Really laughing. At something her friend had texted. She hadn't laughed like that in weeks. Maybe months. But peace. Peace never comes without a test. Because just as she set the flowers in the vase, the doorbell rang. She almost didn't answer. Figured it was a delivery. Or a neighbor returning mail. But something made her look through the peephole. And just like that, her stomach dropped. It was Jake. Hair a little longer, face a little thinner, wearing the same hoodie he always wore. When he didn't know what to say, he looked up at the door, like he could feel her watching him. Lily didn't move, didn't speak, but she opened the door. Slowly. "Hey," he said. She said nothing. He shoved his hands into his pockets. I've been thinking. Blah. About everything." Still she didn't speak. She just stepped aside. Let him in. Not because she was ready. Not because she wanted to. But because part of healing is facing what hurt you, without letting it break you again. Jake sat on the edge of the couch. Looked at his hands. "I miss you," he said. "I miss this house. The way it smelled. The way it felt." Lily stood across the room. arms crossed, he's steady. I'm not the same person you left, she said softly. I know, he replied. I can see that. He paused. I think I lost myself. And I dragged you down with me. She looked at him, really looked. This wasn't the manipulative man from before. This wasn't cold silence or indifference. This was a man, full of regret, and maybe even truth. But it didn't change what happened. He asked her if they could talk. Really talk. Maybe start over. Go to counseling. Take things slow. He didn't ask for everything. Just a chance. And Lily, she didn't say yes. But she didn't say no either. Instead she said, I need time. You're asking me to trust you. And trust isn't something I hand out anymore. That night she called me. Told me everything. I didn't tell her what to do. Because this wasn't my chapter to write. This was hers. Over the next week, Jake texted her. Sometimes just a good morning. Sometimes a memory. And Lily, she didn't block him. But she didn't respond every time. She journaled. She sat with the discomfort. She spoke to her therapist. And slowly something became clear. She didn't need him anymore. The love she thought she'd lost was never in him. It was always inside her. So, a few days later, she invited him to the park. Neutral ground. She sat across from him on the bench. And this time, she was the one who spoke first. I forgive you, she said. Not because you've earned it, but because I'm done carrying it. He looked at her, eyes wide. But I'm not coming back, she continued. This house, this life, I built it out of ashes. And I won't let anyone burn it down again. Jake blinked. Tears welled but didn't fall. He nodded. I understand. She stood up, smiled gently, and walked away. This time, he didn't follow. And that was the final page of their chapter. Not a tragedy, not a love story, but a lesson. Because some ghosts don't need to be feared. They just need to be released. The seasons had started to shift. The leaves were gold, the air crisp, and Lily's world finally felt like hers again. No ghost, no tension, no waiting for the other shoe to drop. Just quiet, stillness. It had been 3 months since that final conversation in the park. Jake had left her life for good. No text, no calls, no sudden appearances at the door. And for once, Lily didn't feel haunted. He felt free. But freedom, she realized, wasn't just about losing someone. It was about finding yourself in the aftermath. And choosing, every day, not to go back to the places that broke you. She started changing things. She repainted the walls. Soft cream in the living room. A bold navy in her bedroom. She gave away the couch they'd picked together. Bought one that hugged her body like a friend. She even turned the guest room, the one that used to host judgmental voices, into a creative studio. Place for writing, for painting, for breathing. One afternoon I came to visit her. As I stepped into the villa, something was different. Not the furniture, not the smell of lavender in the air, but the energy. It pulsed with her presence. Grounded, unapologetic, radiant. We sat on the porch sipping tea. She looked out at the garden she'd built with her own hands. The soil, once dry and cracked, now bloomed with wildflowers. I glanced at her, her profile glowing in the sunset. You look happy, I said. She smiled. I am. Not because everything went the way I wanted, but because I stopped waiting for anyone else to give me permission to live. He nodded. There was nothing else to say. She had arrived. A week later she threw a dinner party. Just a few friends. Laughter spilled from the kitchen. Music floated through the hallways. People danced, clinked glasses, shared stories. And Lily, she wore a yellow dress, the same shade as the sunflowers in her garden. She moved through the night, like someone who finally remembered. She deserved joy. There was a moment, late in the evening, when she stepped outside alone. The air was cool, the stars bright. She looked up and whispered, "Thank you for the pain, because it led me here." This villa, it wasn't just a house anymore. It was a symbol of battles fought, of boundaries drawn, of a woman who chose herself when the world told her not to. Not everyone understood her. Some still called her dramatic, spoiled, too emotional. But Lily didn't flinch anymore, Because she knew something they didn't. Her piece wasn't up for public debate. And so, that's where the story ends. Not with a wedding. Not with a reunion. Not with a neat little bow. But with a woman. Standing in her own light. Saying, "This is mine. Built this. And I'm just getting started." Then,